It was another midweek in League 2 full of drama and dodgy refereeing decisions, but in today's video we're going to go through all 6 matches in a little bit more detail and see the underlying numbers, the statistics, where it leaves everybody as of right now. Is a lot of teams at a game in hand on other teams around them, and see which teams capitalised on that and which teams will really come to regret this match week come the end of the season. It wasn't an official game week, this was just a lot of rearranged games, 6 all being played on the same night. So make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and let's get straight into it. We'll kick things off then with the AFC Wimbledon 3, Crewe Alexandra 0. Now this game was very even. You would maybe even argue Crewe were edging things slightly until the red card. Now I know this is something that's caused a lot of debate and controversy on social media, and Crewe have maybe argued that they've not had the refereeing decisions go their way over the last couple of matches, but we've seen early on in the season they've had a lot of favourable decisions for them. You think the penalty they got at home to Notts County, the red card Bradford City got when they visited that place as well. But my thoughts on this decision then, that is an offence from Knight Labelle that you will see 10 times in a game from either team, both teams really, not just Wimbledon and Crewe, but across the entire Football League. It happens generally in football. It's just been unlucky for Crewe on this occasion, where the referees deemed it to be overly excessive, and I could certainly understand why he's given a penalty. You know, he's clearly impeded Omar Bogle, but I don't think that he would have necessarily got on the end of that. The fact that he's given it as a red card, though, is crazy. Now, I know the rules obviously do state that recently they brought in the double jeopardy rule that you can't give a penalty and the red card, but that's only a rule if you have a genuine attempt to play the ball, and clearly Knight Labelle, obviously he's not playing the ball whatsoever. He's got his arms around Omar Bogle, and I do think it probably is a penalty, but if we're giving that as a penalty, then you're going to give like 20 in a match. So I think every referee's inconsistent and every referee officiates the game and the rules very differently. So that's my take on it. I do think it's a penalty. I think a red card would be harsh, but it is unfortunately the rules. If the referees deemed it as, well, he's made the foul and he's not attempted to play the ball, yes, it's a penalty, and just by the rules then it has to be a red card. Obviously it was then calmly converted by Matty Stevens, a brilliant penalty into the bottom corner, sending the goalkeeper the wrong way. Just a couple of minutes later, Jake Reeves would find himself on the score sheet as well with a brilliant left-footed strike, and Matty Stevens would wrap up the game in the second half with a brilliant finish into the goalkeeper's near post, right into the top corner. He's one of the best finishers in this league, and he's certainly refound his Forest Green form this season under Johnny Jackson. In terms of the statistics, it'd be very interesting to see the difference between the first half and the second half stats, because as you can see, Crewe didn't really have much overall, but a lot of their chance and stuff did come in that first half. Well, to be fair to them, they had a bit more of the ball in the second half, but just didn't really create much. Only 0.04 XG created in that second half. Where does it leave both teams then? Wimbledon obviously needed to keep the pressure on the teams in and around them as well. They've been on a brilliant run of form recently, and if they win their game in hand, they will go on to 55 points and go back into the top 3. Whereas Crewe, they're on a terrible run of form. They are now outside of the playoffs. I don't see them getting back in. They've played more games than everyone around them. I think Crewe are in real trouble. I think they're really missing Mickey Dimitriou though. Did he play in this game? He didn't. He must be injured or something like that, because he's a big player for them, and since he's been out, they've been on a horrible run of form, haven't they? But Wimbledon are absolutely flying, especially at home. Another clean sheet for them as well. Barrow picked up another home win, and MK Dons once again have lost another football match. We'll talk about them in a moment, but Barrow absolutely brilliant in this game. Yes, MK Dons take the lead. It was a brilliant through ball, to be fair, from Dan Crowley, and Scott Hogan finishes from a very cute angle, but just moments later, MK Dons would concede from another set piece. The ball is cleared, original ball is cleared to the edge of the box, where Kean Spence just allowed a free volley. I think the goalkeeper for MK Dons should be doing a lot better with it as well. You know, there's not that much power on it. It's not right in the corner. He gets a hand to it, and I think he should be doing a lot better with that. But the second goal that Barrow score, all down to Ben Whitfield. He picks up the ball, takes on his man, absolutely excellent, and drills in a perfect cross, which he's just waiting to be tapped home by Kyle Cameron. I know he's not obviously had a great start to life at MK Dons, at Barrow. I was thinking, because obviously him and Dan Crowley used to play for Notts County, Dan Crowley now at MK Dons. My thought process there's a lot going on in my brain, but Kyle Cameron obviously hasn't had a great start to life at Barrow, so I'm sure that'll probably relieve a little bit of pressure off of his back. But MK Dons just absolutely awful. Dan Crowley did put in a great cross for, I don't know who scored it, but they were offside. I've seen back on the highlights. It's unbelievable play from Dan Crowley, one of the best players in this division, but the MK Dons forward just did make his run far too early. In terms of the statistics, as you would guess, MK Dons dominated possession possession, but the XG is all in favour of Barrow. 13 shots to 7, 5 on target to 2. Just not good enough again from MK Dons. Having all of the ball, they've signed all the Crawley's players, got all the Crawley's coaching staff, and they just can't replicate what Crawley did last season. In terms of the league standings then, Barrow are now in no danger whatsoever of relegation. They are up to 18th in the table. There's a bit of a gap between them and 19th place as well. 3 wins in their last 5 and only 1 point now behind MK Dons. If MK Dons are in a playoff charge, then surely teams like Swindon, Cheltenham and Barrow are. MK Dons have got absolutely no chance of making it in the playoffs now. They're level on games played with 7th. They're 10 points behind. They've lost 3 in a row, just 1 win in their last 5. They're in absolutely shocking form. And is it time to start asking questions about Scott Lindsay? I've seen a few of the MK fans talking about it, but they're just absolutely awful. 43 goals scored, great. 43 goals conceded. Their defence is absolutely terrible. Who played in the back 3 for them in this one? They actually played a back 4, according to Flash Score. Lawrence and Sanders. They've got so many good centre-halves, they've got so many good players, and they just can't win football matches. They're absolutely terrible. Brilliant win though for Barrow. My team Bradford City picked up yet another home win. 8 home wins in a row. This is the most amount of home wins we've had this season since the 2015-16 campaign, and the first time in like 70 years since we've won 8 home matches in a row, and even that included a couple of FA Cup results against teams you've never even heard of. Brilliant win. The performance wasn't amazing, but it was just about getting the job done. An absolutely unbelievable goal from Alex Patterson, about 30-35 yards out. He's having a goal of the season contender with himself. There needs to be an award for Alex Patterson and a separate award for everybody else. Absolutely brilliant once again. I thought the referee was absolutely terrible in this game. Some of the yellow cards that we picked up were absolutely criminal, to be honest with you. Smallwood got one for being kicked off the ball and then being dragged by their player. They got nothing for that, but Smallwood got booked for it, which isn't ideal because we saw last season he did get to that 10 yellow cards and he missed a couple of games. We saw Sam Stubbs playing central midfield, so that does concern me a little bit. Alex Patterson's booking as well. It was one of them where the whistle had been blown, he kicked the ball away. It's not like he booted it away, but he did kick it away a little bit. The referee didn't see it. He was facing the complete wrong way. 5 or 6 Accrington players then swarm around the referee. That should then be an instant booking for all them Accrington players. That is the rule. But instead, he crumbles to that pressure and gives Alex Patterson a booking. Patterson probably deserved the booking, but it shouldn't be done based on the crowd's reaction or the players' reaction, which is frustrating because there was an incident later on in the game as well where Aidan Baldwin went off because he received treatment from the physio, so he's off for 30 seconds. The 30 seconds had been up. They then had a corner. The referee wasn't letting him back on. The crowd then got quite frustrated by that. He then waved Baldwin back on, but blew his whistle instantly so they could take the corner before Baldwin even got back into the box. The referee was absolutely terrible, but we got the job done. We managed to rest Anthony Sarcevic as well until the 82nd minute because he's played a lot of football recently. We're having to chop and change the team quite a lot with the amount of Saturday, Tuesday games we've played and we've got coming up as well. I don't even think we're halfway through it at this moment in time. In terms of Accrington, they didn't really offer much, in all honesty. I think Ash Hunter was their biggest goal threat. We've seen previously when he's played for the likes of Salford and Fleetwood that he has caused us trouble in the past. They had a decent shot from number 8, I think Ben Woods, in the first half before we actually scored, which was well saved by Sam Walker, and their best chance probably came from when Henderson, cutting on his right foot, took a shot on which was going well wide, and then Jack Shepherd decided to head the ball. Thankfully for our sake, it hit the underside of the crossbar and bounced out. I think in years gone by that probably would have bounced in, but when your luck's going your way and you're chasing promotion, that's just the type of luck that you do get. In terms of the stats, like I said, it wasn't one for a neutral. 0.27 XG to 0.23 XG, just 2 shots on target in the entire match, and obviously one of them was the goal. In terms of the league table then, at Bradford City up to 3rd. Yes, if Wimbledon win their game in hand, we would drop out of it, but I'd rather have points on the board than games in hand. Our goal difference does concern me a little bit. It is the worst out of the top 4 teams, but it is one of the best in the division. The 5th best goal difference in the entire league. 4 wins in our last 5. Like I mentioned, 8 home wins in a row. There is 16 games left. We probably need to get around the 80-point mark if we want automatic promotion. I think if we win all our home games, which is possible, and pick up the odd win away from home, automatic promotion is a real possibility for Bradford City this season. I would say I'm very confident we've already got a playoff spot locked in. I don't see Crewe turning their form around. Salford have been very inconsistent. I think we're better than any of the teams below them. Yes, Colchester and Swindon have been on good runs recently, but I don't see them making it into the playoffs either. On the whole, positive stuff. We're getting the job done while we're not particularly playing well. We've got another tough game against Newport on Saturday, who are obviously one of the better home teams in the division. They're 9th in terms of home form. We are now the best home team in the entire league, clear by 2 points as well. Even if Wimbledon win their game in hand on us in terms of home form, then we will still be 3 points clear of them. It's just our away form, which we really do need to sort out. 14th, just 3 away wins all season. Newport away on Saturday. That'll certainly be a tough one, but this was a brilliant win for us thanks to an excellent goal from Alex Patterson. It was back-to-back defeats for Mark Hughes at Carlisle United as they lost once again away to Newport County. Kyle Hudlin scoring the only goal of the game, and one thing that I've not really seen too much of from the Carlisle fans is criticism of, I think it's Callum Whelan, one of their new signings. I think he came in from Gateshead, where he attempts to put in the most half-assed, pathetic, fanny-like tackle you will ever see on the halfway line, and I've not seen anyone talking about it. It is an absolute disgraceful attempt at a tackle. He completely bottles it. Newport then break. The ball gets played through to Kyle Hudlin, and to be fair to him, it's a really nice finish into the bottom corner, but how Carlisle didn't score in this game, I'll never know. They had so many chances. The better of them falling two at Stephen Werney. He had one in the first half, one in the second half, and there were a couple of decent chances. Embleton had a header from about 5 yards out. Carlisle should have comfortably won this match. I wonder if the stats would also replicate that. Yeah, they would. 60% possession, way more XG, 17 shots away from home, 6 on target as well, and Newport score with their only shot on target as well. I wouldn't really blame Gabriel Breeze for that, but Carlisle fans must be absolutely ripping their hair out. It seems like Groundhog Day once again for them, where they're the better side in every metric pretty much, apart from shots off goal, which is not a metric you want to be better in, and they just don't win the football match. They've got the players to do so, but they're just not getting that look at the moment, and with Tranmere picking up a point, that's a game we'll come on to later, that gap has now widened as well. And while I think Carlisle were always going to be doomed as soon as they appointed Mike Williamson, they've now brought in Mark Hughes. They might play some pretty football, but they're really lacking a goal scorer at the top end of the pitch. They've got a fair few decent options now. Joe Hugel, they've also got Sedwin Scott, they brought in the lad from MK Dons, I think, as well, Dennis. So they've got options at the top end of the pitch. Will any of them be able to fire them to safety between now and the end of the season? It could have been a different story if Charlie Wyke was fit for the full season, but Newport, they've been on a very good run of form recently. 4 straight wins for them, 13 points picked up out of their last possible 15 available, so they're well clear now of any relegation problems, 16 points above the drop. As for Carlisle though, it's 4 straight defeats on the bounce. That gap is now 6 points, and while I do think them and Tranmere will still go down, a lot of the teams now in this bottom 3, which I do think it is, are on a very similar amount of points. Maybe Accrington and Harrogate could be dragged into it, but I see Accrington surviving. They've got enough quality in their team, with the likes of Sean Wally, Ash Hunter. Harrogate, they could maybe potentially be dragged into it. Will Morecambe, Tranmere, Carlisle be able to close that gap on them? Potentially. I do think it is a bottom 3, but if any other team is to be dragged into it, I could certainly see Harrogate being dragged in there, but I've been concerned about Carlisle for a long time. Only 23 goals scored all season, and they were absolutely toothless once again. They created some unbelievable chances, but just could not stick the ball in the back of the net. It's a brilliant win for Newport. Their very good run continues as Carlisle's terrible run continues for them as well. Carlisle fans, let me know down below, do you think Mark Hughes is going to be the man to save your season? Tranmere and Fleetwood played out a 0-0 draw, and it was just a pretty drab affair. Fleetwood had a really good opportunity where, I can't remember who it was, it might have been maybe Ryan Graydon, rounded the goalkeeper. He's got an open goal and he tries to square it to a Fleetwood player who's never really going to get there instead of just having a shot. And I feel like when you're low on confidence as a striker, if it was Ryan Graydon, which I do think it was off the top of my head, if you're low on confidence, then you've not got that instinctive ability just to take on the shot, even though you're a striker and, you know, there can be deemed greedy players at times. If you're low on confidence, then you're just not going to take them opportunities on. But I never understood what I saw or what I envisioned really with that one. But it's a good point for Tranmere. I'm sure they'll take that considering the horrible run of form that they've been on recently. It takes them a point further away from the relegation zone. It's a clean sheet as well, so it's something to build on for them, but just 21 goals scored all season, the lowest amount in the entire division. They've got the worst goal difference in the division as well, with -27, and their fans don't really like their players. I've seen is it Sam Finley's been gobbing off with a lot of their fans at times throughout this season, but you look at the players they've got, there is some decent quality in there. Dennis scored 20 plus goals a couple of seasons ago. Amari Patrick has proven pedigree at this level. Luke McGee's one of the best goalkeepers in the entire division. Apart from that, there isn't really much quality in that side. Fleetwood, I'm sure, probably take the point away from home. Yes, they'd want to be beating teams away from home where Tranmere are in the table, not teams like Tranmere, but teams like where Tranmere are in the table if the series about getting into the playoffs. I don't think they will make it this season. They've got a good squad. It's about building maybe for next season under Pete Wild. There's not really much else to talk about with a 0-0. It wasn't the most entertaining of games, just 4 shots on target for Tranmere, none for Fleetwood. Tranmere created some decent XG, but again, just lacking that clinical edge as they have done all season really. But it finished Tranmere 0, Fleetwood 0. And the final game for us to talk about then finished Walsall 1, Gillingham 1. Walsall, I think, make it 5 games now without a win. Gillingham put a brief stop to their very poor run of form, and there is real concerning signs now for Walsall. It seemed like it might have been just the odd game, maybe a bit of a blip, but it's 5 without a win, and they look like a really, really poor side. The goal they score is one of the luckiest you'll see all season as well. Barrow does really well on the right-hand side. He cuts in, takes on a left-footed shot. It just hits Jamil Matt and completely wrong foots Glenn Morris in the goal for John Coleman's side. And even Jamil Matt with his celebration seems really confused by it. But that's sometimes the type of look that you get when you are going to go on to be a team that will be promoted. But the goal that Gillingham score from McKenzie, that is probably the best goal of the midweek game. I know Alex Patterson scored an unbelievable goal for Bradford City, but when I was just watching the highlights then, I physically went, wow, because it's an absolutely unbelievable strike. I don't think 5 goalkeepers would stop that. And I saw quite a lot of Walsall fans complaining about Tommy Simkin, about he should have done better with not the shot directly, but a moment before that. Obviously, I didn't get to see that bit, but Gillingham had some really good chances. They had a few cleared off the line, the odd penalty shout as well. In terms of the statistics, it looks like quite an even game. Yes, Gillingham had more shots, but it looks like Walsall had better chances, if that does make sense. But again, really lacking that clinical edge without Nathan Lowe. Just 2 shots on target from 11 shots is not really great. Danny Johnson had quite a good chance quite late on where he's put through, went for the lob. Unfortunately for his sake, it did go onto the top of the net. Walsall still top of the table, still 7 points clear of Notts County, but it's just 2 points picked up out of their last possible 15. A lot of people are now writing Walsall off, and they're still 7 points clear. A lot of people saying that Walsall won't even make the top 3 this season, and I'm starting to believe them. In all honesty, I think they're really struggling without Nathan Lowe. They're really crumbling at this moment in time. Bradford City have really rocked their season, and since then they have not been able to recover. In terms of Gillingham, they've been on a horrible run of form, and I know that this result doesn't really look like it's fixed it, but a point away from home against the league leaders who have been deemed the best ever team to play in League 2, it's always a good result, and they showed a lot more fight and character than what they've done in the previous couple of matches. So fair play to John Coleman. He steered them away from relegation with those 3 points in his last 15 games. I don't think they're going to get the playoffs. They're not going to get relegated. I still don't understand the appointment, but hopefully for their sake they can have a successful end to the season. I have a bit of hope maybe for next campaign, but real concerning signs for the Saddlers surely. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there then for today's video. If you have enjoyed, don't forget to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. 80 likes as always would be massively appreciated for this midweek League 2 roundup. Get your thoughts in as well on your team's performance and result down in the comment section down below. Who do you think will finish in the top 3 come the end of the season, and who do you think will be relegated? Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you very soon for another one.